that her son will make his way home for Christmas. But despite Jordan's promise, Artemis never shows up.
Oh, fucking
Desperate,
hell,
Ruby
man.
makes a last-ditch effort to find her son. She sends a letter to the president, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
The president?
It contains a photo,
Roosevelt.
a description, and a...
You know, people say that when you get to the 13th floor of a building, it becomes haunted and cursed, which is why you're generally not allowed to let people have a 13th floor. So what happens when we go to the 146,000th floor? That's not what we're dealing with today. We're actually dealing with a fucking the room number. Hi, I'm Kai, and we're dealing with Fern, the unsolved murder in room 1046. Sorry, I can't talk today. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and yeah, look at this shit, baby. Won't waste your time too much. I don't even have my headphones on. Let's fix it. Damn!
This is Randolph Probst. He's a bellboy at the President Hotel in Kansas City. He just got sent to room 1046. The hotel's telephone operator told him that the phone is off the hook. Again. It's the second time he's been sent to the room that day. At 7 a.m., he knocked on the same door for the same reason. From inside the room, a deep voice told him to come in. But when he tried to open the door, it was locked. Assuming the guest was drunk, Probst shouted through the door to put the phone back on the hook and left. But the phone remained off the hook. So at 8:30 a.m., another bellboy, Harold Pike, was sent up to the room. When Pike knocked and tried to enter, he noticed something strange.
I just realized something. They're usually doing animations. Either this is really good animation or they got straight up acted. How much money be Fern making? They deserve it, but holy shit.
The door handle turned freely, meaning it was locked from the outside. If it had been locked from the inside, the handle wouldn't have turned at all. So Pike used his passkey to enter the dim room. There, he found a naked man lying on the bed, breathing heavily. There was a dark spot on the sheets next to him. But with the shades drawn, it just looked like a shadow. Pike picked up the knocked-over telephone stand and placed the phone back in the hook. When he left the room, he locked the door from the outside, leaving it just as he had found it. Now it's 11 a.m., and once again, the phone is off the hook. Probst knocks 3 times, but there's no answer. So he uses his key and opens the door.
And now he's actually gone.
Less than a meter in front of him is the naked man, crouching on his knees and elbows with his head in his hands. Probst turns on the light. There's blood everywhere. It's all over the walls, the bed, and the bathroom.
What?
The man has a head wound. Frightened, Probst runs out and alerts the assistant manager, Mr. M.S. Weaver. The staff call for a doctor and notify the police.
Oh my
God.
God.
Around 11:15 a.m., the 2 men and another staff member return to the room. But they can only open the door a few inches. It seems the injured guest has collapsed against it from the inside. 15 minutes later, Dr. Harold F. Flanders arrives at the scene. Mr. Weaver, Dr. Flanders, and the bellboy, Pike, enter the room. The guest is no longer blocking the door. Instead, they find him sitting on the edge of the bathtub with his arms and head draped over the sink.
Is he
Strangely,
tied up?
There's a clothesline tied around his neck, ankles, and wrists. The doctor takes stock of his condition.
Okay, so what the fuck happened?
He's been stabbed in the chest. The wound might have punctured his lung. His skull is fractured on the right side, where he was struck multiple times. And there are bruises around his neck suggesting he's been strangled. Miraculously, the man is still breathing and semi-conscious. The doctor cuts him loose and notes that his wounds aren't fresh. They seem to be at least 6 or 7 hours old. The blood is already dry.
Well, yeah, because y'all have been basically ignoring him for like. I mean, it's not their fault. Kind of like, you should like kind of check him at least. Like shit, like y'all left him there for however long.
According to newspaper reports, when police detective Ira L. Johnson arrives, they ask the wounded man a series of questions.
Who did this, Mr. Owen? Who was in the room with you?
Nobody.
How did you get these injuries?
I fell against the bathtub.
Did you try to commit suicide?
No.
Following this brief exchange, the man loses.
Somebody's holding his family hostage. He could save himself, but that means that his damn wife and daughter are godders.
Consciousness. He's taken to the hospital, but he slips into a coma. Later that night, he dies, taking his killer's identity with him to his grave. The murder is national news. It's called America's Strangest and Perfect Murder Crime. The Kansas City police are stumped.
This case came nearer to being the perfect crime than any other murder Kansas City has seen.
The strange occurrences in the President Hotel have fascinated people for almost a century. A few years ago, the case files were made public for the first time.
When would this take place? I know it was like oldie times. Man, this ain't no perfect crime. They were just in the right era. Shut up.
Some 500 documents contain detailed witness accounts, anonymous phone calls, letters from a dead man, and a mysterious object found in an attic decades later. This is the unsolved murder in room 1046.
Fern got some bass to his voice when he said that, didn't he? I ain't never heard him talk like this.
This video is largely based in the official case files of the Kansas City Police. Some details are based on research conducted by Dr. John Arthur Horner of the Kansas City Public Library, the first to gain access to these files. We also reference the 1943 article Mystery Murder, Room 1046 by the Newcastle Sun. Further sources can be found in the description. Oh, and yes, we fully recreated the room and hallway to bring this story to life for you.
Again, how much bread is this channel making? They deserve it. Their content is amazing, but wow. Damn.
It's afternoon, and bellboy Randolph Probst is asked to escort a new guest to his room. The guest is Roland T. Owen. He looks young, but his age is hard to guess. He could be anywhere from his early 20s to his mid-30s. He's well-dressed.
That's Spire Noir. That's Ben Riley. That's what
in a
you're
black
talking about.
overcoat with a heavyset build and brown hair. He also has cauliflower ear, giving him the look of a boxer or a wrestler. They take the elevator all the way to the 10th floor. While checking in, the young man had made a very specific request. He asked for a room several floors up with a window that didn't face the street. He's assigned to room 1046. In the elevator, Owen tells Probst that he stayed at the nearby Mulebach Hotel the night before. When they enter the room, Probst turns on the light. He observes Owen taking a brush, comb, and toothpaste out of his overcoat pocket and putting them above the bathroom sink. Strangely, they're the only items he checked in with. As they leave the room, Probst turns off the light, locks the door from the outside, and gives the key to Owen. They ride the elevator down to the lobby together, and Owen leaves the building.
Wait, is he making it look lived in? That somebody can pull up? Wait a second, hold on. At least in my theory, though, I don't think this is like I feel like that was just very specific to that guy. No, you know what? I'm not a detective. I'll hear him out.
Around 40 minutes later, cleaning lady Mary Soptic knocks on the door of room 1046. To her surprise, Owen opens it. She had expected a female guest, so she excuses herself, telling Owen she'll call again later, but he doesn't seem to mind. Entering the room, Soptic notices the blinds are drawn tight. The only light comes from a dim desk lamp. Seeing the expression on Owen's face, she notes that he seems
worried about something or afraid.
As she starts to clean, he puts on his overcoat, goes to the bathroom to comb his hair, and leaves the room. On his way out, he instructs Soptic not to lock the door, as he's expecting a friend in a few minutes.
Okay.
But by the time she leaves, no one else has arrived.
And cuss.
Bringing room 1046 to life took quite a lot out of our producer, Mona, and it's tough to wind down after adrenaline-filled production days. For a lot of you, winding down means white noise or
I know it. Yup.
Scrolling until your phone drops out.
Yup. Hey, my boy, don't get it twisted. You absolutely deserve the money. I hope Raycon paid you or sorry, not Raycon, Mantis Sleep paid you a shit ton. I'll keep it going.
Walking in, she notices a note on the desk.
Don, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait.
Soptic comes back to clean again the next morning. She unlocks the door and finds Owen inside, sitting alone in the dark. Then a realization hits her.
I realized then, after I had unlocked this door, that the man had been locked in the room from the outside.
If he had locked it from the inside, her key wouldn't have turned in the lock. While she's making the bed, the phone rings.
Wait, so wait. Is Owen the detective after the murders, or was Owen the dude who got beat up and like was in the coma? If you do that in the coma, this oh wait, okay, I might be dumb. Okay, hold on.
Picks up the receiver and says,
No, Don, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. I just had breakfast.
Before hanging up, he repeats that he isn't hungry.
Oh, that's code for
call,
something. And he's saying Don. That's some mafia shit. Oh no, yeah, he's in some works with some people, bro.
He asks Soptic about her job and whether she's in charge of the whole floor. He mentions that he recently changed hotels. At around 4 o'clock that afternoon, she returns to deliver fresh towels. But this time, Owen isn't alone. As Soptic approaches the door, she hears 2 men talking in low tones. She knocks on the door.
Who is it?
It's the maid. I want to leave some fresh towels.
No, we don't need any. We've got enough.
Strange,
We?
she thinks. She didn't leave
Who the hell is we?
any towels in the room that morning. And the only reason the other man might lie is to keep her out of the room. Robert Lane is driving down 13th Street past Lydia Avenue when he notices a man running down the street toward him. It's a cold January night, but he's only wearing shoes, trousers, and an undershirt. Waving and shouting, the stranger asks Lane to stop, but when he approaches the car, he realizes his mistake.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a taxi.
Still, he asks for a ride.
Will you take me to where I can get a cab?
Lane agrees, and as the man hops into the back seat, he gets a closer look at him. There's a deep scratch on his left arm, and he's cupping his hands together, as if to catch blood dripping from a more serious wound.
You look as if you've been in it bad.
The man responds with a grumbled threat to his attacker.
I'll kill that tomorrow.
Get the hell out of my car. Get out. No. You. Oh God. On one hand, the fact that nobody trusts anybody nowadays in 2020s is kind of sucky, but at the same time, oh Lord, technical difficulties or like technical collapse. Fucking hey, but yeah, no. Back to what I was saying. Yeah, no. That get the hell out of my car, big dog.
In Lane's mind. When they reach the intersection at 12th and Troost, the young man thanks him and jumps out of the car. He runs to a parked taxi, opens the door, and honks the horn, summoning the driver from a nearby restaurant. Elevator operator and stand-in bellboy Charles Blocker is clocking in for his night shift. Shortly after, a woman enters the elevator and asks to be taken to the 10th floor. Blocker recognizes her as a commercial woman who often frequents the hotel with different men. She's about 5'6", 135 pounds, with black hair, and she's wearing a black Hudson seal coat with a light strip of fur on the collar. She asks about room 1026, telling Blocker that she's looking for a client, a man who is usually
very prompt in his appointments.
But after a short time, she returns to the elevator, claiming she couldn't find him. Blocker takes her back to the lobby, and she leaves the hotel. After about an hour, she's back. This time, she's accompanied by a man. He's around her height, with a slender build. He's wearing a light brown overcoat, a brown hat, and brown shoes. They ask to be taken up together, this time to the 9th floor. At around 4:15 a.m., the woman returns from the 9th floor and leaves the hotel. 15 minutes later, the man she arrived with follows. On the way down, he complains to Blocker that he couldn't sleep. Then he leaves.
You know what? You know what's both a good and a bad thing? Quote unquote good and a bad thing. Like stuff like this where it's like And obviously, somebody heard this man is bad. It's fantastic that nowadays people can get caught. However, stuff like this where it's like, oh, like this case was like this. Oh, like there was a spy guy, all that jazz. There's no pizzazz anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's no pizzazz to nothing anymore. Nowadays, it's just like damn, we got security footage. No, we got a witness. No, well, all right. Guess that's the end of this investigation. I guess. All right, boys, pack it up. Let's go home. Like we don't. Like too many damn security cameras for spies through this shit. People do spying through like drones and shit. And this shit not fun no more. Again, so glad people can get caught nowadays. There's no pizzazz.
Of the night, and hotel guest Jean Owen is lying awake in her room 1048. She's trying to sleep, but the noises coming from the room next door are keeping her up. She can hear multiple voices sounding both male and female. They're talking loudly and swearing. It's so loud, in fact, that she considers calling the front desk, but she decides against it. Eventually, she falls asleep. When she wakes up at 8 a.m., it's quiet. She eats breakfast and checks out, unaware that in the room next to hers, only a few hours later, a man will be found inches from death. Kansas City police...
Them some idiot mafia bosses. Y'all talking that loud and y'all plan to take him out that same day? The hell?
Detectives Ira L. Johnson and William E. Eldridge are at a loss. They've finished interviewing all the witnesses they could find, but their statements have led to more questions than answers. The front desk ledger at the President Hotel shows the victim signed in as Roland T. Owen from Los Angeles. But when they checked the ledger at the Mulebach Hotel, where he told staff he had previously stayed, he was signed in as Eugene K. Scott.
Let's probably get rid of these captions.
The detectives contacted...
And you know another thing that's gone nowadays? There is no, like, granted, this could be primarily a movie thing, and I could be getting misconstrued. But, like, there's no thing where, like, cops, like, detectives are like, nah, this case, it can't be. This case, there's an answer to this case. I swears it. There's no cops, like, detectives, or, like, chief, just bring me back on this case. I swear, or I promise you, I can figure this one out. There's nobody doing that anymore. He'll just be like, damn, security? No. Witnesses? Not really. They didn't help us. Shit, all right, this one's the gutter. There's no pizzazz. There's no integrity anymore, bro. They're just automated everything, and now everything's just boring. Freaking now, easily give up now. Y'all got no pizzazz. No wonder people like firefighters more. Shit.
Authorities in Los Angeles, but neither name could be found in any records. They're fake identities. They also pursued another lead, that the victim was a professional wrestler. A week after the man's death, a wrestling promoter from Arkansas named Tony Bernardi came to identify the body. At Melody McGilly Funeral Home, Bernardi positively identified the man as one who had approached him weeks earlier for work. According to John Horner, the name he had given was Cecil Werner, another alias leading to another dead end. Based on the accounts of the hotel's maiden bellboy, someone clearly locked the victim in his room. Was he being held prisoner? The Newcastle Sun claims that Owen likely didn't have the key to his room, as it wasn't found there after his death. And this wasn't the only thing that was missing. All of the victim's clothing, his toiletries, and the knife he was stabbed with had disappeared. Anything that could help the police identify him. According to Horner, all that was left behind was an odd collection of items. A necktie label, a hairpin, a safety pin, an unlit cigarette, and a small unopened bottle of diluted sulfuric acid. The only other clue the detectives found in the room were fingerprints on the telephone stand, likely a woman's. Possibly the same woman Jean heard arguing with two men on the night of the murder. It's plausible they were left there by the prostitute seen by the elevator operator, but she was never seen entering the room. Then there's the man she was with.
Okay, Okay, when you say I'm gonna just say PR. When you say PR, do you mean like an actual PR, or like an attractive woman that rejected them that they called a PR? But it's like what, 19, whatever the hell, 18, whatever. Those two could be the exact same thing. I'm not gonna lie. That could just been a regular woman walking about.
Was it the same man who had been in the room earlier? talking quietly with Owen? Could that be Don, the man that he had talked to on the phone? The one that the note was for? Did they really have business on the 9th floor? Or did they take the stairs one floor up to avoid being seen entering the 10th floor via the elevator? Were they both present when Owen was bound and stabbed? After all, the doctor had estimated that his wounds were 6 to 7 hours old when he was found. This would mean that they were inflicted in the middle of the night, and that the victim had already been wounded when the bellboys came knocking that morning. But when the detective asked who had hurt him, the victim simply said,
Nobody.
Was he afraid? Delirious from his brain injury? Or was he maybe trying to protect his attacker? The account from Robert Lane...
Or they have his family chained and bound somewhere, and he can't say anything, or else his wife and child are gonna be on a leaderboard. I think that's the most obvious option here.
The driver adds to the confusion. According to Horner, the detectives had him identify the body in the morgue, and Lane claimed that Owen was, in fact, the man he had given a ride to. But the detectives didn't think it was possible for the young man to leave the hotel and return dressed in his underwear, not without somebody in the lobby spotting him. At the end of the day, the detectives have nothing. No murder weapon, no murderer, not even the victim's identity. Without any actionable leads, the investigation grinds to a halt. But then the strange calls start.
Ooh.
This is Mr. McGilly. He's the undertaker at the Melody McGilly Funeral Home, where the body of Roland T. Owen has been on display for around 3 months. During this time, thousands of people stop by in the hopes of identifying the body, without any luck. Since no family member or relative has come forward to claim it, the time has come to bury the body in a mass grave reserved for the poor and the anonymous. But first, an obituary for the unknown man is published in the Kansas City Journal-Post. Horner claims that shortly after, Mr. McGilly receives an anonymous phone call. The man on the other end makes a simple request.
Don't bury Owen in a pauper's grave.
Instead, he asks that Owen be buried in Memorial Park Cemetery. He assures the undertaker,
I will send funds to cover the funeral expenses.
The caller explains that Owen
Jilted a girl he'd promised to marry.
He claims to have witnessed this, and that the three of them held a
little meeting
at the President Hotel.
Who is this? I'll have to report this to the police.
Unconcerned, the man simply responds,
That's all right, Mr. McGilly.
He says one last thing before hanging up.
Owen hadn't played the game fair, and cheaters usually get what's coming to them.
Meanwhile, the editor of the Journal-Post also receives a phone call, but this time, the caller is a woman. She tells the editor that the story in the paper is wrong.
Roland Owen will not be buried in a pauper's grave. Arrangements have been made for his funeral.
Who are you? Who's calling?
Never mind. I know what I'm talking about.
What happened to Owen at the hotel?
He got into a jam.
Just as the man on the first call promised Mr.
Yeah,
McGilly,
he got into a
20
jam.
days later, the funeral home receives a special delivery.
He got into a jam. The jam was called marriage. He got an engagement. He got into a jam with you. You tell wait, so hold on. You telling me that damn you telling me that fucking she heard a guy and a girl in the apartment and then proceeded to hear Owen in there. So I mean, it was, and then a guy and a girl call saying he's not gonna be in a pauper's grave, assuming that they know what happened to him. It's them. They did it. They beat his ass. What do you mean?
A letter carefully addressed using a pen and ruler. Enclosed is $25 in cash. And this isn't the only anonymous delivery. 13 American Beauty roses are sent to the funeral. The florist who delivers them is instructed to include a card. It contains just the words,
Love forever, Louise.
No, you don't. I tried my best to make that stutter into a beat too. That shit did not work. Fucking, what do you mean love forever? Are you the girl from Obsession? What do you mean love forever? You said love forever, then you knocked his ass in the next week? What do you mean?
Roland T. Owen is buried in Memorial Park Cemetery instead of in a pauper's grave. Police detectives are the only pallbearers, expecting the man or Louise to show up. Other officers disguised themselves as gravediggers and watched the cemetery for days. In the end, no one shows up to the funeral. No one visits the grave. The phone calls and the cash deliveries are impossible to trace. Despite a new theory being pushed in newspapers that this was a lover's quarrel gone wrong, the investigators don't buy it. They're once again at a loss. For almost 2 years, the trail goes cold, until a certain woman randomly stumbles on a curious newspaper article titled "The Mystery of Room Number 1046." This is Ruby Ogletree. She's looking at an article published in the American Weekly in May 1935.
Why Ruby look like she got a whole beard? Why Ruby look like Bob Ross? What's going on there? Hey, Owen must have looked like a man if that's his mom. Fuck, I can't even make that joke. Fuck. Hey, regardless, bro. Hey, shit. How you not know your son dead though? I mean, I get it. Your son been probably away, not like you got phones or anything to keep in contact with him. How you not know your son dead? This has been national news for how long?
The article features a photo of a dead man. A man she recognizes immediately. The scar on his head is unmistakable. She remembers him getting it from a grease burn as a child. It's her son, Artemis Ogletree, who at the time of his death was only 17 years old.
Artemis, 17? That was a 17-year-old doing and just walking about. I mean, I guess it's like 19, whatever the fuck, I guess. Artemis Ogletree, that's a pretty damn good name.
The article claims he was murdered over a year ago in January. The question is, if her son is really dead, then who's been writing to her all this time? In April of 1934, Artemis left his hometown of Birmingham, Alabama to hitchhike across the country.
I'm gonna keep it so that ass. I was laying down during that right now. I was laying down, like, scratching my back and shit. When I heard that shit, I snapped up like, damn, like Nosferatu coming out of his coffin, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Shit, play the video!
With a friend named Joe Simpson. In late January 1935, Ruby receives a letter from her son. It's been a few weeks since he last wrote. His previous letters were always simple, telling her about his latest job prospects, his next destination, and the friends he was traveling with.
I think that fellow I told you about was going to open a business and give me half interest in it, has definitely made up his mind to open in the spring. He's about the best friend I have. He has a big Cadillac. We are going to Excelsior Springs next week in it.
Artemis always wrote by hand. His writing was straightforward, with little exaggeration and few flourishes. But this letter is different. Ruby notices that it was written using a typewriter. As far as she knows, her son never learned how to type, but the letter says otherwise.
I still practice on the typewriter when I get a chance. The big typewriter companies have branches in all large towns where you can practice all you want to.
It's plausible that he could have learned, but it does strike her as suspicious.
She knows. Mama knows her boy, bro. She knows damn well her boy would just like, I'm not gonna type on no damn typewriter. I just don't wanna.
She finds out about his grand plans to head to New York, inspired by a conversation with a sailor.
I was talking to a fellow the other day. He just got back from Europe, worked his way across and back on a big freighter.
He implies that he wants to travel the world and head for Europe, but first he has to make it to New York. Conveniently, he gets a chance to do just that.
A man wants me to drive him and his family to New York.
The letter ends with a strange handwritten postscript.
P.S. Don't worry about Artemis. Sorry to learn he's not coming home. Lem.
What?
Ruby receives the next letter several weeks later, this time from New York. Apparently, Artemis had driven the man, who he now identifies as Mr. Jordan, to the city. Jordan then helped him get a job, but it didn't work out. What stands out most to her is the letter's outlandish detail and unusual slang.
I got poisoned on something I ate at some dump. I was laid up for a few days, and my stomach pained me a lot, but I finally got over that. Then I caught the flu and had to go to bed for almost 9 weeks, and I guess I was pretty sick.
This is inconsistent. Elsewhere, he claims to have only been in New York for 6 weeks. After making excuses for not writing sooner, Artemis expands on his plans to work on a freighter.
Yeah, not to mention some dude said, hey, don't worry about Artemis. Artemis, he'll be fine. Len, who the hell is that guy? Bro, they out here writing fan fics to this woman's like inbox about her son that is gone now. Shit.
Be leaving here in a few days to go on across the big pond. I understand it takes almost a month to get across, and maybe a few more weeks to unload the ship at different ports.
He includes the address of a post office in Paris, telling his mother to send her letters to him there.
I sure want to see Paris, so I'll be heading that way all the time.
But shortly after, Ruby receives another letter from New York.
Well, I joined the freighter for the trip across, and they have put me to work already.
Confirming his departure, he clarifies one last detail.
I decided not to send my heavy coat home.
In the previous letter, he had written that he might send his winter clothes home to her. It's a curious detail. A coat also disappeared from the scene of the crime. The signature in this final letter is once again typewritten. Artemis. Ruby Ogletree doesn't hear from her son for another 4 months. Then, one day in August, she receives a phone call from a man with a familiar name, Mr. Godfrey Jordan. Ruby has a 45-minute phone call with her son's mysterious benefactor.
Yo, I don't know if it's just me. Why is the animation look like she has a mustache? I just don't know what it is. It's no wonder her fucking son walk around look like a man, bro. Shit.
Jordan tells her that he's just left Artemis in Cairo, Egypt, where they had met while Jordan was traveling through the Holy Land. Another inconsistency. Mr. Jordan supposedly met Artemis in New York. Now he's claiming they met somewhere halfway around the world. According to him, the two formed a life-and-death bond when Artemis saved him from a band of thugs. To repay him, Jordan says he gave Artemis money and arranged for his passage home through Paris and London. The Newcastle Sun reports that he also claimed Artemis married a wealthy woman in Cairo and was doing well. Conveniently, he even has an explanation for the typewritten letters. Apparently, Artemis lost his right thumb during the fight for Jordan's life. Because of this injury, he can no longer hold a pen to write. This also doesn't make much sense. Why would he have started typing in New York even though he only lost his thumb in Cairo? Ruby is understandably alarmed by the call. Jordan assures her that Artemis is fine and will be home for Christmas.
Yeah, you just learn to type to like write with your left hand. It's definitely gonna be difficult, especially with what y'all got over there, but you can just write with your left hand.
Worry about not hearing from her son, but she doesn't buy it. The story simply seems too outlandish, so she begins an investigation of her own. First, she contacts the American Consul General in Cairo. She details her call with Jordan and asks them to find her son. The consul replies a few weeks later. They are unable to find any trace of him. Then she writes to the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, asking for any information. 10 days later, Hoover replies. A search of the Bureau files has failed to disclose any information about her son. She also writes to the Department of State to inquire about Artemis's passport. No record is found of such a document ever being issued to him, meaning legally he couldn't have traveled to Egypt. Making no progress with her inquiries, she has one last hope, that her son will make his way home for Christmas. But despite Jordan's promise, Artemis never shows up.
Oh, fucking
Desperate,
hell,
Ruby
man.
makes a last-ditch effort to find her son. She sends a letter to the president, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
The president?
It contains a photo,
Roosevelt.
a description, and a mother's plea.
I fear he has fallen into the hands of some gang, or something has happened to him. I simply must find some trace of him.
Her letter to the White House is forwarded to the FBI. 8 days later, she again receives a response from FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
Please be advised that this photograph is being retained in the files here for future reference. Regarding your son, you'll be promptly notified.
The picture she sent isn't linked to the murder in Kansas City. Things don't fall into place for Ruby until she sees her dead son in that article 10 months later.
Oh. So even back then, the FBI wasn't telling you shit proper. Oh my god, when does this shit ever done? Damn.
Identification of Roland T. Owen as Artemis Ogletree breathes new life into the investigation. With the victim's real name, the detectives are able to retrace his steps. They discovered that for several months he had stayed at a third place in Kansas City, the St. Regis Hotel. There, he checked in with a companion, a man who signed the register as Donald Kelso. Presumably, the Don.
In
1937,
that
there
tracks
finally
me
seems to
on.
be a break in the case. A man is arrested in New York. a career criminal who is known to have used Donald Kelso as an alias before. A man who served time in a psychiatric ward in Artemis's hometown of Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
A man convicted of a murder in New York that had striking similarities to the Ogletree
Come on!
killing. According to a New Yorker article from 1938, he had shot his roommate, dismembered him, and attempted to ship the nude body to Memphis.
How the hell is he even still here then? That's like 20 crimes in one. Why is he still here? Did bro catch the new Yandere Chan update? What okay.
In a steamer truck. His real name is Joseph Ogden. Police Chief Otto Higgins decides that the cases have too many things in common for it to be a coincidence. To prove the connection, the police send samples of Joseph Ogden's handwriting in the hotel register to the FBI. But the tests are inconclusive. Still, Chief Higgins is convinced that Ogden is the killer. In the minds of the police, the murder is solved.
We have the picture of Joseph Ogden and are satisfied that he is the man known to us as Don Kelso. And the letters written to his mother, all check.
You might call it a mother's intuition. Ruby Ogletree doesn't believe Ogden is her son's killer. To her, the letters and the phone call she received were too personal. They didn't seem like the work of a random gangster, but somebody who knew her son intimately. Someone like his friend Joe Simpson. And Ruby has mentioned her suspicions about Simpson to the police before.
Mrs. Ogletree does not know of anyone her son left Birmingham with, except Joe Simpson.
But the detectives have already corresponded with Simpson by letter. He claimed that he traveled with Artemis to Los Angeles, where they split up, never to meet again. Less than a month after Higgins writes that he's satisfied Ogden is the killer, Ruby writes to him again, urging him to look into Simpson.
I really do believe Joe Simpson can give us some real information, if you could only make him talk.
But the detectives ignore her suspicions. In their eyes, his alibi doesn't warrant further investigation. So Ruby continues her investigation alone, determined to find an answer.
Mother's instinct. Mother's
the
instinct.
First lead is a letter Joe Simpson had sent after it became public knowledge that Artemis was the victim in the mysterious murder in room 1046. In it, he told the same story he had presented to the police.
I was horrified to read of the atrocious slaying of your son. Artemis was a good boy, and I'm sure he wasn't involved in anything illegitimate. If there's anything I can do to aid in the solving of this case, I will be very glad to help.
This thoughtful gesture
Wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Who the hell's Len? Okay, because we've already established that the dude who was typing the letters, that's not her boy. That's not Artemis. So let's make that abundantly clear. Who the hell's Len? Because somebody found the urge to like write down on the thing. I'm gonna put in a parlay right now. Joe Simpson, he has a alias called Len.
Contained an interesting postscript.
P.S. Artemis and I left Birmingham alone. Only two of us.
If true, this means that Simpson was the only person on record to have seen Artemis alive before he re-emerged under different aliases in Kansas City. Ruby becomes even more suspicious when she finds out Simpson had failed to visit her while in Birmingham for work. He'd promised to do so multiple times. Clearly, he's avoiding her for some reason. She wants to speak to him face to face, so she hunts him down. Ruby, her husband, and a friend track Simpson to the house of one of his friends, Bill Hogan. Simpson's car is parked in the street, so Mr. Ogletree goes to look for him, leaving his wife and her friend behind. It takes over an hour for Joe and his friend Bill to come outside. All five sit in the Ogletree's cramped car together.
I said to Joe, well, 5 years are a long time for one to keep trying to see one. I had been told he did not intend to see me at all.
Joe tells Ruby that he had only avoided seeing her because he was afraid she would cry. It seems to her that Joe answers her questions very carefully.
Please tell me they don't fucking attack her or some shit, bro.
He claims not to remember. But a few key things stand out to her. The first is Simpson's voice and speech patterns. During her call with Godfrey Jordan, she had noticed a specific verbal tic. He repeatedly prefaced his sentences with,
You see,
or,
it's like this.
Sitting in the car now, Joe says something that sets alarm bells ringing.
You see, Artemis told me he wanted to go to Africa.
Right after, his friend Bill corrects him, saying,
Egypt.
Why would he correct him? Was it a slip-up? And how would these boys know about the Egypt lie she was told on the phone? The longer she hears his voice, the more confident she becomes. Finally, she confronts Joe directly.
I looked Joe square in the eyes and I told him I would know the voice that talked to me from Memphis.
Sitting closely together in the car, his physical reaction is difficult to hide.
He turned red, dropped his eyes, and was nervous.
When the investigation comes up, she notes a curious shift in Joe's demeanor. She says that Kansas City's chief of police called the murder in room 1046 the perfect crime. At that, Joe seems to become cocky. He laughs and says,
It is. They'll never get the ones who killed him.
Mirth is a strange reaction to
Oh,
your friend.
hell no. Oh, hell, please. Ma'am, I know you're like, no, your son's 17. Your son's 17 is like, what, 5 years after the crime? I haven't been keeping up with the fucking timeline too much. But hypothetically, you should be like, if we're gonna go with like, you should be like 30 something. 30 something. Cause y'all was popping out kids early back then. 30 something. And like at most. Your husband should be able to beat their ass.
Death. Ruby then mentions that her son was found nude, without any of his clothes or even his shoes. Once again, Joe just laughs and says,
They were mine.
He goes on to explain that he and Artemis had gotten kicked out of a hotel and slept in a park together. There, Artemis's shoes were stolen off his feet. The claim raises questions about the story that they had parted ways in LA, because Ruby remembers a crucial detail. Artemis had wired her about buying a new pair, and the wire had been sent from Kansas City, Missouri. If Joe remembers Artemis needing new shoes, it's likely the boys were together in Kansas City. Then Joe implies that he couldn't have been with Artemis because he was in high school during that time in 1935. But Ruby sees in the school's records that Joe was expelled for poor attendance on January 2, 1935, the same day Artemis checked into the President Hotel.
How the hell is a single woman by her damn self, but the police, the FBI, with several millions and billions of dollars in funding, can't and don't figure this out? Or have y'all always sucked? Like, damn! Like, oh my, it's shit like this where it's like, how the hell? Like, people like, oh, don't take it into your own hands. But like, y'all don't be doing nothing. Y'all got so much money and so many people. Y'all just chilling around. Sweet fuck. This woman figured out this whole thing on her own.
The records also show that Joe had been absent from school for
Now, granted, she does have the mother's intuition buff, but like, come on, man.
Total of 21.5 days, meaning that he also could have been absent in the days before the murder. Finally, Joe claims to have stayed in touch with Artemis after they split up. He promises Ruby he'll send her a letter he received from Artemis, a letter he claims
was badly typed.
Ruby knows all the letters Artemis would have sent while he was with Joe were handwritten. The letters she'd received from the imposter after her son's death weren't public knowledge. Why does Joe claim that Artemis used a typewriter? Did he receive a letter from the same imposter? Or is he himself the imposter?
Ooh.
In talking with the boy, Joe Simpson, I was reasonably convinced that he is the person that talked to me 7 months after my son was killed.
Ruby never receives a letter from Joe after their meeting. When he fails to deliver on his promise, she writes up their entire conversation in detail and reports it to the Kansas City Police Department. But Joe is never prosecuted for the murder of her son.
Oh my God.
More than a decade passes. The murder in room 1046 is still unsolved. Then, in 1950, the FBI analyzes the handwriting samples from Joseph Ogden and Don Kelso again. This time, they come to a definitive conclusion.
Why did it take you 10 years? Do you know how many people he could have put off the census in 10 years?
The handwriting doesn't match. Ogden was most likely not the killer. Donald Kelso is never identified. The case goes cold once again, until a final mysterious phone call is made, over 50 years later.
Cool, bro.
Dr. John Horner is a researcher and librarian at the Kansas City Public Library. He claims that one day he receives an anonymous phone call from out of state. The caller recounts clearing out the possessions of an elderly person who had recently died. Among the things they found was a box. Inside was a collection of newspaper clippings about the murder of Roland T. Owen. But there's more. The box also contained something mentioned in the newspaper stories. Horner asks what the item is, but the caller refuses to identify it. Without giving their name, the caller hangs up and disappears.
Or you were the one that did it, bro? You're like, what? I'm gonna assume that was like a grandchild or some shit, and they didn't want to like out their grandparents, bad past about how they murked somebody. Oh boy. You suck. Your grandparent is gone. Just out them. The world can be at peace. Shit. Anyway, that was this video. This video was gas, but oh wow, this just made me have less faith in law enforcement, as if I should have any to begin with. But yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all later. Subscribe, like, all that jazz. Peace.